fatherlessness and absent fathers. Something that we've been talking about and something that we've been preparing ourselves to have this conversation about. And I think there seemed to be this understanding that there's a pandemic of such nature, of men having children and abandoning them, and I think most of us are victims of such, I want to say, behavior, and what I'm trying to unpack today is that what actual visible, tangible effects has that had on me? You know what I mean? Or have on other men or other kids in general. You know what I mean? What does that absentness do to a child?
Yeah, I'm also here trying to also, like we're doing, this collaboration is about finding, right?
Yes.
And also we're using ourselves as living archive of what we know and what it has done to us. But also we're not closing this conversation based on our experiences.
Of course.
We're going to just investigate it.
Yes, it's an investigative podcast.
Yeah, but also, is the pandemic true though? Is the absentness means you are not in the same house with your kids?
Yeah.
Or does it mean you are...
What does presence mean?
Yeah.
What does being present mean? Because we've also had stories of like fathers that are present in the home, but they are just shells of themselves.
Sure.
I mean?
They're just photo frames.
Yeah, they're just photo frames, or maybe they just like pay checks, right? They just use to like further something. And that's another sort of segue that I want to like investigate, this idea of like money and finance, right? When people often talk about like absentness and fathers who are not present, could they also be referring to this idea that a family is only supported by one parent, right? And is that something that is finance the pandemic, or lack of finance the pandemic? Or is there something much deeper? I guess what I'm asking you right now, or what I'm asking myself, is this idea of what role especially a father plays, right? And if the father is not present, what lack does the child have?
This reminds me also of, there's what we used to say that maybe I have a present father. For example, I have a present father, but there's, especially living in this country,
Of course,
there's a chance that your present father is an absent father somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And possibly even like in different houses, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my grandfather, the one who I'm actually named after.
Yeah.
So his name is Mamuti Dimalapili,
Yeah.
right? He was married, we knew of 3 wives, but he
Yeah.
had like about 15, if not 17 children that we knew of.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the amount of absentness that could have happened.
Kind of home that you just opened, because like historically, I could be obviously wrong, I could be fact checked on this. This idea of multiple wives was not such a taboo, as compared to now. Right?
Yeah,
it's only like a few individuals that have that still, and that sort of tradition seems to be fading out. So is this idea of like fatherlessness, or father is here and is absent one place and is present in the other, could that be also evidence of the remnants of that tradition?
Yeah, and also monogamy is a new thing, right? It could be traced back as it did not begin with humanity. At some point, monogamy was introduced.
Of course, yes.
So this can of worms that Sol is opening is also around that idea of, what does this really mean? What does
absentness mean? Yeah.
Yeah. What is a father?
Exactly. What is a father? So if we know what a father is, then we can then see where the lack is. Because again, as we were talking before the cameras turned on, I was sort of curious about like what kind of man would have turned out had mine been present, and I'm struggling to see what that means. I'm struggling to see a different version of me. I don't have access to that other universe where he was present, right? And if I could change some things in my life, obviously I'm not under delusion that I wouldn't change anything, but most things I would keep. And I wonder if his absentness is one of the things that I would keep in order for me to be the man that I am. But that must also mean that I like the man that I am.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That is interesting, yeah.
Because also the poem, the said poem you opened with, does your father have a right to celebrate your successes?
And you see that a lot. You see that a lot with absent fathers who as soon as their child graduates, as soon as their child, gets some type of notoriety in the world, some fame, this guy comes out of the woodwork and say, hey, that's my child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what we're saying now is that, is fatherlessness merely a donation of DNA? Is it that simple, right? And also, it might be few or less interrogated. There are families of absent mothers.
100%.
Right? And what did those kids tend out to be? Is there like a comparative study that we could do where we can see someone who grew up without a mother as compared to someone who grew up with a father? How different are they? And maybe that could aid?
Yeah, here's the thing though.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying that, if we really interrogate it, let's find a way to use ourselves as archives.
Yeah.
Even if your mother and your father were there,
yeah,
they left our homes at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Of course.
And they return at 6 p.m.
Yes.
And then at 8 they are asleep.
Yes.
And the entire time you're alone, you are raised by neighbors and friends and teachers on the street, right?
Yes.
But we do not see that as absentness. We see it as presence, you know? Because there's an article I read that speaks about this old couple, really. They're saying now he's 75 years old, he has retired. Okay. But I don't know this man. I've been married to this man for 40 years. And in our 40 years of our marriage, we're just trying to pay bills. Yeah. And now I'm beginning to learn this man, you know? Also, sometimes your father could be there, your mother could be there, but they're trying to give you education, trying to give you clothes, trying to...
They effectively they self-sacrifice themselves to aid you, but also in that sort of sacrificialness of it all, how much of them do you lose in the process? You know what I mean?
Because you don't know them, really.
I remember I was raised by my grandmother.
Yeah.
I remember how she sort of carried herself around the house, right? With gentleness, but also with a sense of authority as well. We knew that she was like the breadwinner and she was a grandmother. Like it was not worth debating, whatever. But then you also see I saw my grandmother when she was with her friends. She's a different woman, right? She is almost like 10 years younger. The way she laughs and how loud, she becomes. And just like, that's very interesting. And I wonder like, how much of our fathers do we not know? Because like they are present, but in their presence, they are sacrificing themselves for our sake. And another thing that we were talking about earlier is this idea that is a dead father an absent father. You know what I mean? If someone had died, does that make them absent? If someone is in prison, for whatever reason, are they automatically absent? Or is absence a decision a man takes to willingly, distance themselves from their kids? So is absentness, the one that we're talking about now, a decision or a consequence?
I mean, absence is absence. Not being there is absence. I think if we can look at it that way, and also not what we're talking about does not answer the bigger question in the world, but is what we know, what we've experienced, and also would also find different people in the academia to come help us answer this huge question. But for me there's a sense, even if your father leaves at 5 a.m., there is a piece of him that you know. And also if we look at ourselves, I mean, in the space that we're in, there are roles that we play without rehearsing them, without planning them. You know? When I have to be a partner, I am a partner. When I have to be a director, I'm a director. When I have to be a father, I am a father, right?
Of course,
So those roles, if they're not being played, there's a certain somebody who receives those roles for them to progress in life. That progression becomes a problem, So if you're not there as a father to guide and to show and to play your role as a father, there's certain parts of life, of the development of your kids that you're affecting, you know, because the world is systematic on its own. And if you grow up in a family that does not have system, you are bound not to participate or behave in a way that you're expected to behave in a system.
Of course,
So a school is a system. So if you're from a family, because I interrogated this when I was writing one of my plays, These Are Not My Shoes, is why am I struggling with systems? Why am I struggling with the school system? Why am I struggling to go work for someone? Why am I struggling? So I think my interrogation led me to, I'm from a place that began with a system. My father was extremely present in the beginning of my life.
Of course.
An amazing father. I believe my father could walk on water. But he disappeared.
Of course.
And that disappearance...
A different type of miracle.
Magic. And from the time he left... I waited for him. probably 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
Even if with my mother I would move from one house to the next, one rental to the next, one shack to the next.
Yeah.
I would hope that my father would return home. And that affected a certain development that was supposed to happen because foundation of it, he was there.
Yeah. But also, I wonder, especially with that, what you just said now, I'm curious about whether what we're mourning is fathers or what we're mourning is family members that left.
Ooh. I think we're mourning family members that we've lost.
Yeah, because because we're struggling to find the significance or the role of a father. Right? One might say guidance, one might say, preparation for authority. One might say many things, but we've all experienced those things that are given props to men. We've all experienced them through our grandmothers and our mothers. So that automatically sort of negates that type of argument that, a father will teach you 1, 2, 3, because we learned those 1, 2, 3 from our parents.
Yeah. And to interject on that as well, an interesting point that maybe sometimes we don't even know how to, not that how to make them responsible, but even when they're around, we don't know how to use them for lack of words.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time, because my dad is very present, right?
Yeah.
We should have a conversation with you and your dad.
Yeah.
Yes, I think
He must
we'll
come
get to
over and have this
invite.
conversation.
He won't mind.
must.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things that I would like to ask him, right?
Sure.
There was a time that we got used to asking things from my grandmother and my mother.
Yeah.
And then there was a time, especially when we moved to the site, my dad was like, he was complaining, told my mom that
They never come to me.
they never come to me. When they want something, they come to you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I have much, but I'm saying it's better for me to worry about it and see what I can do about it instead of actually having to hear them that their mother sorted something else. I appreciate you as my wife. You're amazing at that.
Of course.
But I want my children. And I remember from that day, I just made the decision that, I didn't realize that I didn't know how to, for lack of words, I will say utilize my father.
Yes.
And then I started being like, every time when I need money or when I need something little, and now he's the most amazing human being ever. He has always been, but now because he wants to be present, when I'm going to whatever gig that is far, I'm able to call my dad and be like, hey, I need this. He'll show up now.
Of course.
He won't take 3 days without calling me. So I think that's a really interesting. I know. I think like when I was looking, when I was looking at this, right?
So there are present fathers.
Yeah,
there are present fathers who might be.
But again, maybe I'll ask you a question that is there something specifically that he can do that your mother cannot?
I think he is.
What is that?
Some of the things that he's really able to do that my mother hasn't.
Okay, before you continue, maybe let me phrase it this way. Is there something that your father can do that your mother cannot, or your mother just chooses not to do? Because he also assigned that to him. Such that had he been absent, that thing that you're about to say, it would also be absent.
Yeah.
Yes. Some of the things that my father does that my mom is not capable of doing currently, for example, is if, for example, when I went to my first TV appearance, actually like all of them, my dad took me to all of those.
Right? So your dad can drive.
My dad, but beyond that, so beyond that, beyond that, as I mentioned, my dad is that person. Okay, but this doesn't answer the question, but just to mention it there. 3 days does not pass without my dad actually calling me. And I think that also answers the question in an implicit manner that if my mom was not there or if my dad was not there, even if I'm hearing my mom say, I love you, I'm not hearing I love you from my dad. Right? So I think that is an important element of it that I'm able to call my dad and be like, I love you.
That's nice. I hate you.
It's interesting to think about it, and in your question that I'm here listening to Solly answering and you asking the question that you've asked him. Is it biological? Does it have to be biological?
That's the core of it all. Is it biological?
It has to be biological, or if there is a father.
Because also, like, we live in a time where it is normal, and as it should be, that you would have a lesbian couple with a child, right? So is that family fatherlessness? What's the word?
Fatherlessness.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just, that's an interesting thing to sort of like think about, especially when you have like two gay men that have a child. Is that family motherless? You know, because if it is genetic, then probably is. But what is this genome? What is this DNA code that one person has and the other doesn't?
I mean, it's interesting to think about what the world has become now, the knowledge that we have when it comes to. I mean, I'm co-parenting. You know, there's this term co-parenting.
Yes.
So I'm co-parenting, and I don't regard myself as absent.
Of course.
Because one of the things that I made a decision as a father.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I said to myself, I don't want to be one of the things that my daughter has to heal from.
I have a question then. How different are you from before? And not necessarily like in relation to your daughter. Obviously, we've spoken about like different roles. You play different roles.
Sure.
When you talk to your mom, you don't talk to her like same you talk to me. That I understand. But is there like a physical or more of a mental evidence that, that Mxolisi is different from this one?
100%. Because when you are with the mother of your kid, when you together raising a child, it's like it's not something that you think about or plan or schedule, right? But because my daughter lives with her mom,
of course, yes.
So what is shifted in my head is being really intentional about this fathering, right?
Yes.
And also being intentional about how do I contribute and how do I allow my daughter to be the human being she wants to be?
Yes.
And that has shifted from conversations about, I don't want my daughter to do art because our sister is struggling and all of that. And taking the moments and the times I had with her in the same house for granted. Right? Now, every minute I spend with her means so much to me. I don't know if that makes sense. That even if she had a performance last night of a musical of Christmas musical.
That's dope. Congratulations.
Thank you. She's winning all the awards. So I was there, but when I was with her in the house, I know she's here. I don't know if that makes sense. I know my daughter is here. I know I'll see her. I know I'll do this.
Of course.
But now because of I live in a different house, she lives in a different house, we need to arrange and find ways to raise this amazing human being to be what she wants to be. Then time becomes a very important thing. I left a reading yesterday and said, my daughter is performing. This can wait, and I would go and be part of my daughter's
I'm curious, but also can never know really. Do you think when she's older, she would consider you as an absent father? Because you don't have access to that. You can't know.
I can't know because I leave. I travel every month, every whatever. I'm out of the country. That is part of. There are moments that I miss, you know, and I think from time to time when I meet her, when I take her out, whatever that we do together, we have this conversation. How are you? How do you feel?
Okay,
you know, and then she'll tell me that the other time I sent you a WhatsApp and you took time to respond.
Yes.
And the other time I said I want to come and then you said you're not around. Oh, I want to travel with you. So I also find ways to hear her and try and also fix from what she feels is wrong that I'm doing.
Okay, because also, you can never know.
Yes. It's because also we are trying. When I became a father, I told myself that I'm going to be a different father from my father. But the only wrong thing that my father did was to leave. I don't know if he stayed, he was going to be a different father. So for me I knew him as a kid being a great father, and then he disappeared, magic. And then I said, I'm going to be a different father. And me being a different father, I did not give myself a chance to learn how to be a father.
That is evidence of your character or evidence of absent fatherlessness? Especially like going back to what you said and what Solly's father is doing, right? Is it evidence of his presence? Like he's, you know what I mean? He calls, he checks up, he attends. Is that because he's a father, or is that because he's a good person? You know what I mean?
Hence I ask, is it this fathering thing? Is it a biological thing? Is it genetical thing? Or it's just because he's my father, he's supposed to, you know? And I think I'm speaking like this because of the education and the information we have about these relationships, this parenting, this upbringing that we find ourselves in. So I'm speaking like that from that point that there's a different knowledge. You made an example from a lesbian couple that have a kid. Do they have is it a fatherless family?
Yes.
Gay couple, is it a motherless family? No, because also the kids are raised in a way that...
So it's not absentness. It's not absent father that people are talking about or what we are talking about. It's a two-parent household. Is that what we, if it was that fixed? If, hypothetically speaking, obviously we can never know, if your father had left and your mother dated another woman, you know what I mean, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
She dated another woman, she came into the house, and now there's 2 paychecks.
Yes.
Does that then fixes it?
I think there's a greater pain,
Yeah.
and this is from a personal point of view.
Yeah.
There's a greater pain that young men feel, and they don't have a conversation about.
Okay.
Right? The absentness of their fathers.
Yeah.
Right? And this pain is different from one man to the other.
Yeah.
You made interesting examples that there's a father who died.
Yeah.
You know, there's a father who's in prison.
Yes.
There's a father that the son doesn't even know this man, never met this man.
Of course.
They don't know how they look like.
Yes.
But we live in society where there's a comparison, right?
Yes.
We might not talk about it. I mean, validation, it's a human need.
Yes.
This boy has his father. Solely our friend, his father is present.
Yeah.
My father is not present.
Yeah.
Your father is there somehow, one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
But how we feel about these pains are different. And the difference is also how then do we relate to the next person? How do I relate to men is different to how I relate to women. How I participate in relationships is different to another man. Right?
I wonder then now, in addition to what you said now, and that goes for both of you. I don't know if you have access to that, but is it the fact that the father is absent, or the fact that someone who is tasked to take care of you effectively neglected you, right? Is this trauma or this thing that we're talking about, is it evidence of fear of abandonment, right? Like, this person, by all means, they should love me. They should.
They're bound.
Yeah, they should love me, but they don't, right? So is that what's bothering us? The fact that someone who should love us don't love us. And that's, that takes us to...
Before you go to the next thing, you've been asking us too many questions. There
Sorry.
are things that you're running away from.
Yeah, go on.
Before I ask you this question, I would like to answer that question. I think Solly can answer it too.
Yeah.
That affects how you love, because this person is
That's where
meant
I was going.
this person is meant to love you. This person needs to hold you when you're walking, needs to teach you things, you know. When you have your wet dreams, this is the person who needs to explain that,
to you
know.
about that,
When you have things in your this person must have that conversation. When you feel things, when you see a girl, this person needs to. But my mother explained those things to me, but differently, right? And that affects how we move in the world. And that's why if you look at your work, you look at my work, you look at Solly's work is more into him and love and moons falling into the river and the frogs swallowing. And then if you look at your work, it's sunless fathers, chaos. If you look at my work, you look at these are not my shoes, you look at the unchattered. There's a greater pain that we're trying to communicate. It might not be exact, but there's that extension of ourselves that we send to the world, you know? So the person who was responsible for a role and also for that exchange of emotions and feelings decided to cut that channel. And that affects us in a way that we remain being shacks on fire. Because he left and he forgot to turn off the stove.
Of course, there's some people who don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, but they will know. I mean, this is a long, it's going to be a long podcast or
and also like
or whatever that
on
we're
this
trying to
thing
do.
of like how we love. Before I go to that thing, I'm always curious.
But I want to ask you a question after you answer.
Yes.
And I should answer before.
Oh yeah, go on. Sorry. I'm loaded with questions.
Okay. I think one of the interesting things that especially when I was growing up, especially more now, is that you get to realize that your father is a human being like you. And the more you grow, the more you see how flawed you are. And that you can make your mistakes, and you see that there are parts and things that you are, not necessarily that you are not really capable of, but you just maybe oblivious of them, and you don't even know that you are oblivious of them.
You're still being taken care of.
Exactly. So I've never had conversations about for example, about girls or anything with my father. Right? Like not even once. Right? But what my father has taught me, or being around him he taught me that it's okay to be a father. That's one of the most amazing lessons.
I like that. Actually, I think the next follow-up question is like, based on what?
Based on his presence.
No, exactly. Because I had a similar conversation with my dad, because I don't have a child now. And he said, when are we getting a child? It's like, I'm struggling to give you children or give myself children, give you grandchildren rather, because I don't know how to navigate fatherhood. Right?
And why? You don't know how to navigate how?
Yeah, I don't know. Another thing about this absentness.
They also don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
I also don't know, but I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I've seen like this, what is that? Kumbule Kaya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone's father had gone for like 20, 30 years and, you know, before you were even born. Damn. And I'll see these people that go on this like egg hunt for their fathers. And my shoulder's like, why? You don't know this person.
You see, that's why I wanted to ask you a question, because I like the way you think and interpret this absentness. My question to you was, how do you relationship?
Yeah.
You know, how do you love the next person?
Based on my experience.
Based on the experience you have with your father.
Yeah.
And you're raised by your grandmother.
Of course. I mean,
and there was no
lived
grandfather.
in her house. I was raised by her, but going to the point that you were talking about earlier about how they leave in the morning and they come back in the evening, and Sunday baya go society and Sunday baya go church, and then Mondays arrived and
then they're angry at you. You don't understand why.
Yeah, and then it's a loop. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you look like your father. And you know? Yeah. I'm thinking about that. Yeah. But also to answer you, especially about how you love, I don't know. Again, we can never know if it's genetic or because of. I think I'm wired in such a way that I've convinced myself. Convinced is a weird thing because it implies that I thought about it, but it's not something I thought about. It's just something that I am. I have no desire for the affection that people seem to be like after, because my parents and my mother were not necessarily around all the time, but I've never felt like they don't love me. You know what I mean? I don't equate absentness with lack of love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The same way we talk about like if a father is dead, is he absent? You know, if a father is in prison, if a father has gone to war, if a father works internationally, you know, do they mean like they don't love you? And I think people that are raised that way, where they have to like find reasons or justify that my mother must love me. You know what I mean? Even though they're not here. You know, I remember I have a conversation with my aunt. My mother worked in Gauteng at the time, and we were talking about love. And I told her, like, you know, man, my mom loves me, and I love my mom. She said, how do you know that she loves you? And it's like, I just do. You know what I mean? It was just like, I just do. But that doesn't work with most relationships, where you expect someone to just know that you love them. People often are looking for those words of affirmation, that physical touch. But that is something that I'm not starved of, or maybe I am starved of, but I have hardened in such a way that I've convinced myself that I don't need them to exist, right? But that has been like a work that I am working on myself, you know? But also I'm curious because I don't necessarily see anything wrong with me, but I also see, no, but it's true. I don't see anything wrong with me, but I also see how that reflects in my relationships and what that does to my partners, right? And it's that work, that selflessness, that let me attempt to maybe understand what this person really needs.
Do you think there's something wrong with you?
If there's something wrong with me, then there's something wrong with everyone. In that way, I don't think wrongness is unique to an individual.
No. In this context, you are saying there's a way that you were raised as a man, and your parents worked far away from you.
Yes,
but you were convinced and you knew that you love your mother and your mother loves you.
Yes,
and since I've met you, you've spoken about your mother and your grandmother.
Yes,
I think this is the second time hearing you using a father.
Yeah.
Besides in your works,
of course.
You never spoken about your dad. But you speak highly of your mom and your grandmother.
Yeah.
So me asking if there's something wrong with you, I had a conversation with Solly the other day about there are certain demons that we're trying to kill in us. There's certain things that we're trying to conquer certain things amongst us that we feel that the world should not see. When we started this conversation, you've spoken about, I did not know you have insecurities. I said, fuck, I do. I do have insecurities.
Yes,
you do have your insecurities. So me saying, is there something wrong with you? Is the way you love your partner now, do you love them in a way that they desire to be loved, or you love them the way you understand love.
In the beginning is how I understand love.
Because you're speaking of it. My mom was not there, but I knew my mom loves me.
Exactly.
So with your partners, you're here, you're not here. I know you love me. I know you love me. That's cool.
Like, why haven't you texted me all day? Like,
but you know
what are you talking about? We are
so
together.
That's not wrong.
I don't say that's necessarily wrong, but you can see what that does to an individual. You know what I mean? How they call
their partner.
Yes, how they call into themselves, and you can tell. Like, no, it's not even like whether you should feel that I love you. I know that I love you, right? I know it's not like a mask that I put on, like, you should know that. No, I genuinely do. I genuinely have these emotions for you. But the way I express them, it's not how you expect me to express them. But that's early on. But again, you can only be so difficult so long in a loving relationship. You'd have to also adjust yourself to accommodate, because the relationship is sort of like a conversation that you're having with an individual. You know,
which parts of you did you lose now in your current relationship for the relationship to work?
I think it is my willingness to suggest things. It is my willingness to not wait for lack, you know what I mean? And not wait for for example, let's just say milk. You know what I mean? I don't want to wait for someone to tell me that milk has run out. I try my best. Also, like, you can tell when someone says they're sick, you don't need to
you just want to
guide you to
you just have to choose.
You know what I mean? You already, you know what I mean? So you are, and also dates and other things that you have to become forward with them. It's like, I think we should do this thing. And also by doing that, I think you convince them that at that moment you were thinking about them and or that you want to do something, but you want to do that thing with them. You know, I don't know if that does anything for them. I don't know if that, in that sense, I don't know if that's something that they register, but that's something that I'm attempting to do because for me, holidays and Christmas clothes and my mother coming back from Gauteng with, goodies and clothes, whatever, those existed on a timetable.
Yeah.
I know when she's coming. I know when to be happy. I know when to, you know what I mean? That was on a timetable. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do with my relationships is that I'm trying to avoid the timetableness of it all.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
I think I have a timetable with my daughter.
Yeah, but then we're talking about partners. We're not talking about I don't want this sort of that timetable. I was talking to a friend of mine. My sister is coming to visit now in December. And we're going to go to Gold Reef. We are going to go to a 5-star restaurant. We're going to, maybe in the future, I can't do it now in this December because I'm busy, fly around the country. I want her to experience life in family such that she's not introduced to these things outside. You know what I mean? And I don't want to give her based on some specific timetable. Sometimes I go home and I have nothing for her. She needs to know that a person cannot always obligated to give you something. Yeah. Sometimes I go home and I have a gift or whatever. But it is that sort of like awareness of how I'm treating these relationships. And I think that's another thing with absentness or absent mothers or fathers is that you always know when they're coming back. You always know when to expect them. Either they're coming back at Christmas. Like there is an energy. So I'm trying to not have that either in my family with my sister and brother and my mother as well, but also in my relationships. I don't want that we haven't done 1, 2, 3 in a while, or we have done 1, 2, 3 for so long.
There is something that is regurgitating in my brains right now, and especially tying back to what Mxolisi asked in the beginning. The question being, is it a fatherlessness thing? Or as we went in the middle, it was about, is it just the fact that you need someone to be there to love you? Yeah. And it's like a position is open and someone to feel that love.
Sometimes it's usually brothers. As older brothers.
Yes. Yeah. So because you're looking at something like if it's a fatherlessness thing and the question you asked of what is a father and extending to the fathers who are not fathers, right? By fathers who are not fathers, I'm speaking about whether you know or others that are just there stepping up. Right?
Stepping up to be stepfathers.
Yes, which really gets to question the thing of like, is it really a fatherlessness thing? Because you grew up with this person who is a father and you're okay, right? And or is it just a positioning thing? The thing of like, there's a post here.
On that, I'm very interested in the people that have parents, the people that are parents, but will not date someone who's also a parent. And this is on both sides. This is not a man thing.
Yes,
I've seen.
Yeah, I am that.
I've seen.
I won't lie. I am that.
Mm-hmm. But why is that? Why? What about being a parent? What is it that you don't want to engage with a parent? What about being a parent, is not suitable to be a partner?
It's not about it being suitable, and I don't want it. I don't want us to sit here and degrade mothers,
of course, or fathers.
Or fathers.
Yeah, it's literally both ways. It's literally both
mothers
ways.
and fathers who now I think navigating, especially we are figuring out what it means to be a father. Yeah. And we're just 9. I'm 9 years, couple of months being a father. Of course. And there are things that I still get wrong. And with me is, would I understand? How then do I become a helping father? Yeah. In me being with the mother of the kid, and also with the partner that has a kid with another partner, how those dynamics for me, I haven't really understand the metrics and how they work and how to plug into those metrics and really make this complex relationship work, And the thing that I struggled about my entire life is to be expressive and to speak about things that are in me, in my head. And I think most of the relationships I had, they suffered from me not communicating what I think and what I feel, but trying to make things right, but without being communicative. I think you guys
are being unfair in a sense that...
Yeah, I know.
No, hear me out. We spoke earlier, especially as a firstborn. Sorry, you can't relate. But it's good that you can relate. It's good that you can relate because of what I'm about to say. Yeah. The majority of us, or a very big percentage, is that we were not necessarily planned. Right? Our mothers had us when they were 20, 19, 23. Even fathers who, especially like in the poem Salif's Fathers, the guy expressed that I was 16.
What did you expect me
exactly,
to do?
What did you want from a 16-year-old? I think the people that don't want to date parents, they're being unfair because they're failing to acknowledge that like someone is being punished for the rest of their lives for, I don't want to call kids mistakes, but they're being punished for the rest of their lives for a decision that they took as a teenager. Or wrong. Or the decision that someone else made them take. Like, oh no, we don't do that type of like abortion or whatever in this house. So now they're forced to have this child. And then they grow up, they become a different person from the 20-year-old, 19-year-old. They're in their late 20s, they're in their early 30s. They're a different person.
Yeah, but
it feels like they're being punished for that.
No, it's not a punishment. And that's why I think if Solly got it. But Solly doesn't understand most of the conversation we're having.
Yeah. He's a father.
He has a father. He doesn't have a kid.
He doesn't have a kid. He's not a firstborn.
He's not a firstborn. He does. So I'm saying, don't get it wrong. There's a hurt that comes with every breakup, which is not mourned, right?
Of course, yeah.
If you break up with someone, you don't mourn them, you move to the next one. And there's a lesson that after I had a kid with this particular person, I don't want to be with them. We've reached an agreement that we're no longer together. And there's this kid, and now you're trying to figure out this life. So now being with somebody else who's also trying to figure out, I haven't figured out that metrics on how to really participate in those. Also, I don't want to say, if you're with me and you don't want to be with someone who has a kid, you are forced to be with me. No, I'm not saying that. Of course. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, this might not change when I begin to learn and understand how to participate in those relations. But this is a choice I made. Said, okay, baby, I don't think I want to be with someone with a kid. now. I don't know how long that is going to be.
Is it that? Maybe let me sort of like throw you.
Because now you're saying it's a punishment to mothers who have kids.
Not mothers, parents.
And fathers, parents, yes.
Parents, yes.
Because I have a kid, and I'm also interested in how do I participate in also raising. And now I'm learning that I want to take part in my partner's life.
Yeah.
How does she protect her family? How does she lead her business? How does she contribute in everyone in the family? I'm able to do that, right? But when I began to say, okay, I'm no longer in this relationship, I'm starting another relationship, I do not want to be in a relationship with someone with a kid because I cannot figure out how to be with a kid out of a relationship. And how then do I relate with someone with a kid out of relationship, and we do relationshiping and we have these things that are happening. So I don't want that to feel like it's a punishment. For now, for me, it's like, it might change, Doc. You might find somebody that...
I know it might change. But now, let me just like throw this at you then. Someone you really like, someone that you really vibe with, someone that you see a future with. Now, let's say you don't have a partner, and then they find out that you have a child, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I understand that you're going to set them free for that reason, and you're not going to judge them. But we cannot also negate the fact that there is a hurt that comes with that. Because something that you've hoped for to happen, because you approach them knowing that you have a child. It's not like you forgot and then they point out a child, like, oh, I have a child.
No. I hear you and I agree with you. It should be a mutual agreement. It shouldn't be forced. It shouldn't say you can't have kids or I won't date you. If I love you and you have kids and we vibe and there's future between me and you, we will figure it out. Sometimes there's a preconceived ideas that we go out with them and say, I think I like red. And when you're in red, you feel depressed. You don't really like red. Of course. Because of the pain and whatever that had happened to you. So there should be an agreement. If you want kids and if you're not comfortable with me having kids, that should be set, the record should be set straight from the beginning. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be hurt by the fact that you don't want to be with me because I'm a kid. And it doesn't mean it's not going to hurt you because you love me, but you can't be with me because I have a kid.
But you see that mental work that you're doing, that sort of like back and forth that you're having with yourself, this talk, because you're having this conversation because of your situation being a father. I don't have a child, right? When I go into a relationship, that is not a part of my brain that I entertain. That's an energy that I get to save and apply it somewhere else.
And also, sorry to interject. It's from, we shouldn't look at it like in a face value from what it is now. When we started the conversation, we've spoken about fatherlessness, right? How did me not having a father affected me? How did that affected me making a choice of being a father? How does that affect me being a co-parenting father? So how then does this affect how I love and relate, you know? So there's a pattern of it, right? So that needs to be understood. And also, hence I'm saying, it's what it is.
Yes, I get what it is. And that's all the parents that are going through right now. They're going through this work of saying that, I understand my situation, but it feels difficult because what I've seen, mostly with like most young mothers and young fathers as well, they start to see themselves as less deserving of love because of their situation. They almost seem to lower their standards because of the fact that they are already parents.
I hear, and
I'm curious about that.
Yes, I hear you, and I'm not. But also, a kid is not a problem. Also, there's something before the cameras went on. You've spoken about when I ask you why you don't have kids, you said it's a sad thing because of whatnot.
I'll get to that. Yes.
But my thing is having a kid is not a bad thing.
But then why wouldn't you date a parent?
Yeah, I'm saying for now. For me, I'm figuring. That's why
I get what you. You're in the process.
I'm in a process. And also, if you're with someone who really understands and who really asks questions that, hey, this is how we're gonna move, and this is how I'm feeling, and this is what I'm thinking about this situation, it becomes a very different conversation altogether. But a kid is not it doesn't make you lower your standards.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you a less of a woman or a man.
Yeah.
It makes you a parent.
Yes.
Is now how then do you figure out bringing two parents who are parenting outside their relationship to really figure out how do we parent outside and do the relationship together?
Okay. So
in
it's the
that
labor of
situation.
it.
Yeah, is that not even? It's not a labor. I think also these are conceived ideas that you walk out with them. Okay, I don't want to do this. But what if I meet someone who drive me crazy and I feel like my future is with this person?
Yes.
Or I
And they
meet
have like
someone
3
who
kids.
or 5 or 6.
Okay,
you know, I love them. You
Okay.
know, so I haven't been in that situation to say, yeah, now I'm settled.
Yeah.
When I started having kids, I wanted to have 3 kids, and when I had 3 daughters, when I had 1 daughter, I was like, I'm done. I don't want any other kid.
Yes.
I'm sitting here, I say I don't want any other kid. And when I go to a relationship, I do state this clearly that I don't want to have kids, even though it's not like a sometimes a very attractive thing, but I do say I don't want kids. And it also goes to how then do we deal with our traumas? I suffered from a trauma that I was convinced that I'm not gonna live long. You know, I tried committing suicide 3 times. It never happened. You know, then you come back said, "Yeah, no, I tried to die, but death did not accept me."
Was this before or after you were a parent?
It was just before my mom passed on. I think it was when I began.
Were you a parent at that time?
No, my father left long time ago.
No. Were you a parent at the time you contemplated
Yes,
suicide?
I did. My daughter was around 5-ish, 6-ish.
Okay.
And it comes with the thing that you think it's depression. Depression is depression.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yes.
You think your daughter will live better without this broken man that you are.
Now you're giving another dimension into the conversation about absentness.
Yeah.
Do you feel like absentness could be beneficial to the kids? You just said that you feel sometimes that your absence will mean better for her.
You don't come here and try and be clever with me. I gave a clear context of it. There was an underlying factor.
Yes, there was
depression.
Yes,
and I was diagnosed with depression, right?
Yes.
And that also contributed into me committing suicide. So there's a mental state that was not well during that particular time that had made me do what I did.
Okay.
And I'm grateful it did not happen. I survived it. And now that becomes also fatherlessness, the absence of my father and me not understanding there's emotions and there's hurt and there's brokenness within me that I cannot communicate also has contributed in that depression. And then there was therapy at some point that helped me to deal with it. But therapy came also later after I've tried to kill myself. It did not come at the time when I was So, and also during that time, I had international gigs, I had money, I was good, right?
Yeah, depression is something else.
And you once wrote about it that there's a thing that people believe that you can speak depression, you can have a conversation about it. It's a clinical illness.
Yeah, it requires a professional, yes.
Then over that, it had happened. Yeah. But my chat is also, if you have a kid, is willingness to navigate. Yeah. But I'm not gonna sit here and say, I'll date anyone. Is it something that I spoke to myself about that I don't think I will date someone with a kid.
I think the reason, and again, I could be like the devil's advocate, you being the devil, is that the reason you don't want to date someone that is a parent is that you feel like you have enough kids.
I have one.
That's what I'm saying. You feel like you have enough, enough kids. Yes, you have one. But you feel like that is sufficient enough. You're not in the pursuit of other kids. Such that if you date a parent, that will automatically make you that child's also sort of like a present parent as well. So now, automatically, from having your daughter, you would have 2 more children, and you've never intended to have 2 kids. That I could sort of understand. You know what I mean?
No,
but
don't.
The reason that
we're gonna just to remind everyone, this is findings, and it presents when, why, and where all the fathers have gone, and how. It's an investigation of how fatherless homes are affected. Yeah. So people must tune in for more. So what would you say in like an elevator pitch situation, saying goodbye to everyone?
I think we need to be gentler with ourselves. I think we need to interrogate what we think is tradition. I think a culture to be more successful, any culture, it needs to have an element of evolution. right? It needs to evolve and it needs to grow. Well, be it how we parent, how we love, how we dance, how we celebrate. You know what I mean? Like how we bury our loved ones now is completely different to how we bury them 100 years ago. It's very different. And that's not evidence of something bad. It's just evidence of evolution. And we shouldn't resist that evolution. Right now we're having like gay parents or lesbian parents. We need to allow that and make space for that. And also we need to allow and understand and have grace to parents when we go into the relationships with them, because what we feel is what they feel as well, right? So yeah, I think that is my thing. Just this interrogating tradition, interrogating tradition and allowing culture to evolve.
Amen. And you, X?
For me, is also being gentle with self. You know, I like when you said we should be gentle with ourselves, and also understanding that we are figuring things out we do not know.
Exactly,
right? And that's why we are doing this.
That's that evolution.
A decade-long collaboration that we are going to figure out things and also be gentle with people who choose to be in relationships with us, knowing our faults and our demons. You know, gentleness, and also not to define the world as we know it, but also allow other perspectives to come into the room and really have those conversations, and also finding the truth about what seems to be the truth. You know, because now one dead body could circulate in a phone, in 1 million phones. Of course. And then we could easily mistaken that one image of a dead body to being million people who have been killed, right? So finding facts and also allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and true, and also understanding that we do not know, we are figuring it out, this complex thing, and being grateful for those who are around us and love us and listens to us. And join us. We are trying to do a 13-part thing that we're doing.
Interrogating fathers.
In interrogating fatherlessness. And also is going to have a play at the end. These are not my shoes, the piri, and then a painting.
An exhibition,
Exhibition by Masai Sepuru. So for me, that's all. And thank you for tuning in. And like, subscribe, and do everything that people do. Sharp.
Thank you for joining us.
Awesome.